We're gonna go meet Lynn Chen now. She is in Surrogate Valentine. So, anyway, she's right there talking. Hopefully we're not interrupting. There she is. Hi, my name is Jessica Kung. I am a guest correspondent for TaiwaneseAmerican.org. I have the pleasure of interviewing Lynn Chen today. She's an actress, singer, and writer. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, I'm good. So you have two blogs, The Actor's Diet and Fake Dumpling Skin. Would you mind telling us a little bit about them and what your motivations were?
Sure. The Actor's Diet is a blog that I started about a year and a half ago. And the reason I started it was because I was constantly being asked how actors look camera ready and still enjoy food. And that was something that I was wondering myself, because for many years I suffered from eating disorders. So part of me starting the blog was to show like an online journal of what I eat every single day. Part of that was to hold myself responsible so that I wouldn't relapse into old behaviors of not eating or eating too much. And then it just sort of turned into a fun everyday look into my life, and I started building an audience, and it became a way for me to be creative. You know, with acting, you don't really work all the time, and in fact, most of the time you don't work. So it was a way for me to take pictures, write, interact with an audience, and feel like I was interacting with other people in a way that was fun. And who doesn't like talking about food? So that's how the Actor's Diet started. And then Thick Dumpling Skin is very new, about a month old. It was co-created between myself and the publisher of Hyphen magazine, Lisa Lee. I heard Lisa in an interview on NPR, and she was talking about being Asian and struggling with body image and extreme dieting. And when I heard her story, I knew immediately that we needed to connect, because Asians and body image and eating disorders, these things exist, and I always knew they existed, but there's no actual resource for us. So I called Lisa, we ended up emailing, and 2 weeks later we had a site up and running. I think, you know, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we both knew that this was important to us and that we were both passionate about it, and we wanted something to exist. We felt like enough is enough, and we need a place for people to come together and talk about this.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way in the sense that body image and weight is not addressed at all in the Asian American community, and yet we're heavily criticized by our parents and just like, you know, our peers. Why do you think that it's not as well discussed?
Well, I think that part of it is, you know, a respect thing. You don't want to say to somebody when there's like a weird boundary thing, like, and it's not just with our parents, it's people of our peers. You know, they come up to us and they'll be like, oh, you got fat, or oh, you lost weight, and it's not just Asians. I mean, like, everyone, it's sort of, all cultures kind of do that, you know. But I do think that there is something specifically in our culture when it comes to family and food, because it exists in my family, and I know a lot of other people whose families it exists in, because there's also this stereotype that, a long-standing stereotype that Asian women especially, and Asian men, have to be skinny. And, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, you go to any country in Asia, majority of the people are very, very skinny. And what is considered to be skinny here may not be considered to be skinny there. So when you have those two ideals coming head to head, you're bound to end up contradicting one another, and people will voice their opinions. And unfortunately, sometimes they'll voice it in a way that can hurt people's feelings.
You mentioned that you had an eating disorder. I feel like to have issues with food is probably like one of the hardest things to deal with. It's not like a drug or alcohol where you can just shut it away.
Right.
And that's like, it's labeled bad. You have to work with food in your life, and especially in Asian culture, it's a form of like celebration. For you, how did you cope with that, and how did you, you know, break free from that?
Well, for me, a lot of my eating disorder was mainly with binge eating, and that was something I had been suffering from. I didn't call it suffering, but I had since I was really young. You know, I was always told eat when you're happy, when you're sad, you know, anything, and that's how I learned how to cope with my emotions. And I would eat to please others. You know, I would eat to like make my aunties happy, and you know, it'd be funny. Like I'd come home, and they'd be like, "You gained weight," and then you know, I'd feel bad about myself, and they'd be like, "Why aren't you eating?"
Asian parents.
So I didn't know, you know, what to do with myself, and so you know, that's why I also became anorexic, because I, you know, didn't know how to balance it out. I didn't know how to just I didn't know how to deal with food in a healthy manner. So I'd say that you have to make your own choices for yourself, and ultimately that is what helped me recover. It's been at least about 2 or 3 years now that since my last binge, and I've just learned to like live life in moderation, and celebrate food when you need to celebrate it, and use food to comfort you when you need it to, but don't, you know, there's balance in everything, just like in life.
And to some degree, like food is kind of like a lifelong commitment to, you know, struggle
Right.
with, not to struggle with, but to cope with.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you'll have different relationships with food, just like you'll have different relationships with people.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening. Check out TaiwaneseAmerican.org for any other updates. And thank you again, Lynn, for this great interview.
Thank you.
I just got to meet Lynn Chen now. She's so beautiful, so smart. I'm like inspired. Wow. Please check out her blog. She's amazing.